Joining me now is Debra Callahan. She is a teacher, cannabis activist, and patient, and owner and proprietor of Wocann Women's Retreat. Welcome back to the show, Debra.
It's good to be back.
Yes, wonderful to see you, and I love the photo, the plants behind you. So today we're talking about the environment, and in this segment we're going to talk about composting. So is this your garden behind you?
This is my garden. In Washington State, we're allowed to legally have up to 15 plants if your doctor has given you the extended amount. And being an MS patient, I need a multiple variety regimen. Mm-hmm. So I'm allowed 15 plants.
Excellent.
And these girls all get only organics. They never get a chemical. We use compost tea. We use Epsom salts and molasses and only natural things. Excellent. That feed the plants and help them bloom and grow.
Wonderful.
And so right now we're starting our bloom phase. We've started giving them Epsom salts and molasses, which helps give them the bloom, helps them the nutrients bloom need, and it gives the bloom a sweetness that is wonderful.
So tell us, what exactly is composting, and what is compost tea? Because you mentioned that too.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take you out to my compost, out of my garden. We compost on a rather large scale here on the farm. We have 2 compost piles going usually at one time. So that way one, as it's beginning, gets turned. You need several things for compost. You need water. Mm-hmm. And as I used to tell my students, you have to have something green and something brown.
Okay, so you need something green, something brown, and some water, and you're essentially converting this plant material to organic, usable soil. Is that what it is?
It's exactly. It heats up and it decomposes, and it actually becomes a wonderful smelling earth.
Nice.
It's so clean and fresh.
So how does composting benefit the environment? How does it help us?
Well, my mantra is something that my kids learned back in grade school: reduce, reuse, recycle. Mm-hmm. So here on the farm, by composting, we're reducing the amount of waste that we would otherwise put in a landfill. Mm-hmm. Our tree branches get chipped. Our weeds get put in the compost and is heated and composted. So by doing composting, you're reducing landfill waste. Mm-hmm. You're reusing all of that stuff that would have went to the landfill as compost in your garden. Mm-hmm. So you're helping the environment in multiple ways.
Excellent, excellent.
And when I said green stuff and brown stuff and water, what I meant was brown stuff is like dead leaves, your potato scraps, your kitchen waste, and green stuff, your green weeds, your grass clippings, your kitchen waste, that's your lettuce and your salad makings. Mm-hmm. All of that can be composted. But what you don't want to do ever is put meat or any meat scraps, grease, that type of waste in a compost pile. Because if you do, number one, the grease stops the action of a compost pile.
Oh, no.
You want the compost to heat up, and the grease will just stop that completely.
Oh, goodness. Mm-hmm.
And you don't want every neighborhood dog, wild animal, whatever,
Right.
digging your compost pile out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the reasons. That's the main reason we don't put meat in there. I didn't know the reason behind it exactly, but always was told don't put the meat in there.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me that animals
Stop.
would get into it, you know.
Right. But the meat also stops the organic action, because what you're doing is those are normal organic proteins that are breaking down in the plants.
Mm-hmm.
Meat doesn't do the same process to break down. So when you're breaking down an organic matter like a weed, you don't want to involve a different type of organic matter,
Mm-hmm.
because they decompose with different methods.
Right, I understand. Mm-hmm. That makes perfect sense. And, you know, as we reduce the amount of meat we eat, hopefully, you know, I don't like to tell people how to live their lives, but I will say that even if you don't want to switch to a vegan or vegetarian diet, you can just reduce the amount of meat by having, you know, vegan Mondays and Tuesdays or whatever you want to do, and it will help the environment, and all the scraps from your table can go right into your compost to help with nutrient-rich soil for new gardens.
Exactly.
So if someone wants to get started, what do you recommend that they do in their kitchen just to kind of get started with a compost in their yard?
Well, I used to tell my students that even if you live in an apartment building, you can take a 5-gallon bucket. You can go to Home Depot and pick up a bucket with a lid, or most grocery stores that are bulk food sell buckets, food grade buckets, and you can start composting in a bucket on your patio. Then if you have a yard, you can start out by you have to make a specific area. You just can't compost everywhere.
Sure.
And you make yourself a little area with a fence or wood, or you can go to the store. There's compost bins, there's compost tubs, all kinds of they'll sell you anything right now.
Right.
So just make an organized area and start putting your weeds and your table scraps, and sprinkle it with water regularly, because it has to be moist to continue that working of the organic matter. And another plus to a compost pile and living on an organic property is vermicomposting. Your nightcrawler and red wiggler populations will double immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And when I taught composting, I had a vermicompost bin, and it was just nothing more than a store-bought Rubbermaid tub. And you want to get a tub to go under it and drill holes in it, because you want to keep that worm drip that comes out of it and mix it with water. That too is a great fertilizer. And you can do it the same way you do by building a compost pile, only you're doing it in a tub, and you can do that on your deck. But remember, vermicomposting in the summertime, you have to keep cool, because they will die.
Oh, right. Right. That's a whole nother topic, but there are books out there about vermicomposting that people can check out. And how can people get in touch with you if they want more information?
They can find me on Facebook at I have so many of those pages. Just Debra Callahan on Facebook. Excellent. Or they can email me at Debra Callahan, DebraCallahan1 @gmail.com.
Excellent.
Amazon has some wonderful books on vermicomposting, on composting. But it's something everyone should try. because it does help the environment. Like I said, it reduces, you get to reuse. And even if you live in an apartment and all you have is a patio, you're making soil that you can plant flowers in pots to go on your patio.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting a win-win with your composting there.
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me.